Hela, and welcome to Coffee with Avila. This is my station where I, Aviana Lemaire, will be discussing everything autism and ADHD and life and just greater living in general. The point of this video, and this video is probably going to be pretty short because I've done it before and I've just decided that this time it's going to work for me. The point of this video is to lightly broach the general subject of manifesting, meditation, and the ND brain. And I want to specifically address the subject of aphantasia because I've seen it brought up, I've seen it asked about, I've seen it broached, but I'm not sure I've seen it answered. And I am a person who is less aphantasia and more hyperphantasia. My thinking is, wow, it's vivid and colorful, and I do have images. However, I don't see a difficulty in imagining how you would manifest and meditate without those images, because I'm also aware of all of the other senses, and this is going to be key. This is what I want to talk about. So I'm going to sip my tea. I've got a peppermint tea today, threw my bay leaf in as I usually do, sweeten it up. Gonna see if I can keep my throat happy while I record this video again. Here's my theory. People are, this isn't going to be a part of the theory, but I'll get to the theory. The introduction is that people are putting a lot of weight on visualization inside of manifestation. And there are multiple reasons for this. And I think one of them is because when you visualize something, you are manifesting. Here's the theory that is going around, and I think it's true. I've seen it play out in my own life. In my experience, it's true. The theory that's going around is that when you're visualizing, like it or not, you're manifesting because it's something you're focusing on. That's energy you're putting out there. It's energy you're going to bring back. So the concept is that you might be visualizing without even being aware of it, and you might be visualizing in ways that aren't helping. Let's say you've got a conversation with somebody, you know it's going to go badly, so you keep playing it in your mind. It's sort of like you're doing a dress rehearsal. You can't stop focusing on how badly it's going to go, what you know they're going to say. Perhaps you're playing it over and over and over again. Maybe this is going on for days. Then it ends up happening, and we might all end up saying something like, I knew it. I do know what it's like to know something, do everything in your power to prevent it, and still have it come out badly. However, when I have moments where I know I've been visualizing like crazy, meditating on the badness of everything, and then it happens badly, and I hear myself say, I knew it, I feel a little bit like something went, because then I just feel like I just said I knew it as if there was no other way it could go, and I know I've been visualizing the bad way outcoming. I know that my visualization had something to do with it. But here's the important thing. Visualization is a party to one sense. Now I'm going to take a few looks at my notes over here, and it's going to happen often. So when I look over here, and if I crane over, it's because they're sitting here and I wrote them tiny and I can barely see them. Visualization is basically just the internalization of sight. It's kind of an issue of the basic five senses, where seeing with your eyes is a sense, seeing with your mind's eye is another sense. The way I might explain this is, my concept is that you do not have to visualize to meditate or manifest. The visualization is kind of like a meditation, whether you're doing it on purpose. You're putting a lot of focus into it. You're centering yourself on it, basically. Now, in real life, if you have a situation taking place, and it doesn't have to be manifestation based. If you have a situation taking place like you want to go to a show or a concert or to the park, but your friend doesn't have physical sight, but they want to go, are you going to tell them, well, I'd like to take someone with me, but I can't take you because if you can't see with your physical eyes, what's the point of going? Not only would that be shockingly hurtful, I would imagine, or angering or something, it's kind of ridiculous because they're a human being on the whole. Their consciousness exists outside of whether their eyes or their brain are processing physical images in front of them. So I think manifestation and meditation have got to be the same thing because of that theory, combined with the fact that I am often finding myself meditating on things with absolutely no visualization whatsoever because of my other senses inside and outside of my body. So here's how I would answer this. There are 5 basic senses, and visualization in the mind is just a reflection of visualization or visually intaking something with your eyes. So if you find yourself not able to meditate or focus on manifestation with visuals because your brain simply doesn't work that way, then you can work on doing it. First of all, number 1 answer, so we can close out the sight category immediately. If you can't make the visual come, perhaps you can find a visual that you like. Maybe there's a painting that you like looking at. Perhaps there's a TV show where when you watch it you think, oh, I imagine myself as this character and that life seems great for me. Or maybe there's a show where maybe you want a new house, maybe you want a new income. Maybe there's a show, I like some of these, where they're showing you real estate and you love watching these really great houses that are just tricked out and fabulous in every way. Now, I don't love all of them, but some of them I'm watching them and I enjoy it. As long as I'm in a happy place, I enjoy it and I feel like, yes, this could be my home, I could live here. Instead of trying to make it happen in your brain, where it's not happening, who knows, maybe you haven't noticed that you have aphantasia, or, I mean, this is how I hear people phrasing it. I'm doing that kind of thing, you know, person first thing in general when it comes to the terminology, only because I don't know if you would say I'm aphantastic. So since I don't know if that's the right term, I have looked it up, but I haven't come across an answer yet. So I'm going to say have aphantasia, because people who are speaking about it and know firsthand keep saying, quote, I have aphantasia. So I'm going to go with what they are saying and what they're telling me, just in case that's bothersome, because I'm not a person who says of myself I have autism. I say I am autistic, so I'm very aware of it when I say that. I will do what the people who know firsthand say, so that's where I'm going with it. So if you have aphantasia, you could decide, can't see it inside of the head, I'm going to focus on something outside. Maybe I'll find pictures, perhaps you want to go online, social media, in positive ways, find beautiful images and look at them that way. Another thing you can address is sound. Now let's say you don't want to deal with sight at all, maybe that's too much work. Perhaps you're saying, I want something I can do when I'm falling asleep every night, or when the lights are out and I just want to relax and I don't want to have to do the work, or I don't want to have a device on. Okay, let's move on from the sense of sight. Let's address sound. I'm going to be referencing things that make you feel good because I think it's pretty well established in general, no matter how you slice it, in the manifestation community, that good feelings, happy feelings, positive sensations, strong emotions of that nature especially, are pretty surefire for bringing more positivity. So that seems like the easiest bit, and maybe manifestation through sensation 101. Even back on sight, the concept of visualization is to put you in a place where you're seeing, feeling good things. So again, back on sound. Perhaps you want to do this inside of your head. You can imagine, if your brain processes sound in this way, then you can imagine sounds that have made you happy in the past. Or if you're thinking, I've been in this place, I went on vacation, one day I'd like to retire there, or I just want to move there, then perhaps if you remember the sounds, you can replay those inside of your mind. And instead of meditation and manifestation through visualization, you're doing meditation and manifestation through remembrance of the sounds of the place, the sound of the ocean, the sounds of, people say things like children playing in the streets, whatever it is. Maybe you woke up on a farm and you were really, really happy to literally hear a rooster crow in the morning. Whatever sound works for you and makes you feel good. And if you don't want to come up with something from inside of your mind, then again, you could do a more extrinsic form of it, using sound by playing music that puts you in that mindset, the mindset of the place you want to live or the thing you want to have. Maybe you want to get married and you feel good playing the wedding march and thinking about that and imagining that that's what's happening. Maybe you want to put it on a loop. Maybe hearing it just the one time works. Maybe every time you hear the wedding march, you're just in a good mood and you just want to hear a clip of it in passing. I don't know. But you can pick a sound that works. You can pick some relaxing beach waves or calming frequency. Maybe you listen to your favorite music and it puts you into that happy mood and you want to just think in whatever way your brain works. Think about and feel what makes you feel happy and what you want. And then you're using sound instead of, internally or externally, you're using sound instead of dealing with sight at all. It's an entirely different thing. You can do this with taste, you could do this with smell, you can do this with touch, and then you've got all 5 senses as options, whichever one works best for you. Let's say you want to do some kind of meditation with taste for manifestation. You want to get to a good place. Inside of your mind, you could just remember a really good food you love tasting, if that's how your mind works. Let's just assume when I bring this up, I'm saying, hey, if that's how your mind works. Remember a time when you ate something that reminded you, or maybe you once again, you want to go move someplace. And remember the meals you had when you were there last. Think about the meals you would have if you had the opportunity to go. When you have the opportunity to go. Maybe you just really want to be right where you are, but you want to be right where you are with somebody. Perhaps you can imagine what it would be like to taste the meal that you two would be eating together. If you want to do it in real life, procure a food that brings you pleasure. Maybe you want to just get whatever food you would like to be eating in whatever situation you're imagining, and just have that. And maybe you just want to focus on the taste of it and just feel the pleasure you would feel if your dream scenario were taking place and that meal were happening inside of your dream scenario. I'm trying to give an example for everything. I really like the concept of imagining that you're eating a meal with somebody you love. Whether it's someone you've met or someone you haven't. Maybe you just want to think about sitting down and having a really good pasta dish with them. I like pasta. I'm really into pasta. Something got me thinking about pasta and how nice it would be to have pasta the other day, and how nice it would be to have pasta with someone I adore sitting right across from me or right next to me. So I think that would be a great one for me, and I can definitely imagine that. See, I have that Aphantasia based memory system and imagination. However, that doesn't mean I'm always seeing things. Often in my mind I am remembering the taste of something, or the taste of something great that I'm actually eating will remind me of those great feelings. I got confidence in all of these methods because, again, whether or not I have a mind's eye, and I do, I still end up using all of these fairly often without even realizing it. And I realized that when I started conceptualizing this video, when I was really thinking about it and thinking, well, I can address this because I have some answers and I can just offer this to the people who need it as a concept or a suggestion, and then you can all see whether or not it works for you. Now you've got a list of things to try. So continuing down that list, the next thing is smell. Smell is famous for this. If you want to have a feeling or a memory, the olfactory center in the brain is either the most highly linked or one of the highest linked centers with bringing back a memory. Stimulating it with something that you smell can instantly bring a memory back. I know this can happen with sounds too, because I'm very sound based and I love music. I'm a singer and musician and all these things, so I don't know if olfactory is number one for me, but maybe it is, and maybe I just hadn't really noticed before. I'll tell you this, I think that this is probably the reason why aromatherapy is such a huge thing, because I find that people who do not believe in anything whatsoever energy based, even though energy is a basic physics concept, if they don't believe in it, they don't believe in any, higher or different use of it or function of it, they still find themselves lighting candles or throwing sachets in places or using potpourri Or I've heard people say that they brew coffee just because they like the smell. They don't even drink it. I think that's a fabulous idea because it smells amazing. But this is just something where you do it and it puts you in a mindset, it puts you in a place. So if you do not drink coffee, yet you are procuring coffee and cooking up coffee just because you like the smell, you can probably tell that's a pretty powerful motivator for some positive sensations. That coffee might be getting you into peak manifestation territory. So that's a great example of how you could use smell in an extrinsic way, an external to the mind way, in order to trigger your mind and your emotions to do what will help you bring more of the same, more positive things. Maybe there's a specific memory that just feels great and you want more of that, or you want more of what feels like that. If you can get something that relates to that specific memory and actually, let's say it has to do with roses, maybe you can get actual roses or go to actual roses. Maybe it has to do with coffee and you want to do what I said before, get actual coffee. Or if you don't want to do it physically, then you can do it mentally and you can remember that wonderful smell. Or maybe it's not a wonderful smell. Maybe you had a very great experience, but in the air you could smell gasoline. And maybe that's just merged with the memory. Now, I mean, if you're just remembering it in your mind, I don't see any health risks. I'm just thinking I wouldn't go out of my way to smell gasoline in real life. But inside of your mind, if that's what brings you back to the happy place, bring back the memory of the smell. Maybe you were having a really great conversation with someone and you couldn't stop cracking up and you were having a ball. And part of the reason why you couldn't stop cracking up is because you're at a dog park, or the neighbor's dog just copped a squat right in front of the two of you, or the three or the five or whatever, whoever it is you're with, or maybe you were just alone. I have absolutely no idea what gets you going. Whatever that memory is that was great, where you felt really happy, maybe that memory is still linked with the smell of a real life poop swirl. And maybe when you bring to mind, when something in life brings that back to you, or when it comes to your mind or you dream about it, and that smell is there in your mind, perhaps that puts you into a happy place because it's part of a happy memory. So you could even use that. I mean, I said we're going for a positive sensation, right? I guess it doesn't have to come 100% from a positive place. But maybe the dog poop just wasn't enough to ruin your day. So something that we're thinking of generally as being negative might get you into a place where you start manifesting the great feelings you had the last time you experienced it. There's no telling. If you don't want to do any of the previous senses, you've still got touch. That feels like a pretty easy one. I mean, if you want to spend more time with someone you love and you both like the sensation of touch, maybe you both just decide, you know what, let's hold hands. Whatever it is that's working for both of you, making you both feel happy and comforted and okay. Maybe you're in a relationship and you want to connect more. Touch is great for that. It's great in the moment. It's great for the brain chemicals it releases. And maybe it helps you remember what it is you always loved about that person's touch. That can be an extremely powerful one for more than just you, for the other person or people too. If that's the external example of touch, another external example of touch would be perhaps you want to, I mean, I don't like velvet myself. Maybe you love the sensation of velvet. Maybe you just love the sensation of something that's not that like cotton, silk, whatever it is. Maybe you want to imagine yourself, this is cliche, sure, but getting married. And you picture yourself in a slinky, silky wedding garment. Perhaps you go and touch some silk. Maybe you go to the fabric store and maybe you just touch it and imagine. Maybe you have something else made of silk and it just puts you into that place. Maybe you want to do this inside of your mind and you want to remember the sensation of silk. And you can just think about, assuming that you know what it feels like, think about the memory of touching it and enjoying it and how good it made you feel. Think about the reasons why you want that to be a part of your good new experience that you want to manifest. You can focus on that, and that can put you into that place where you are lost inside of the sensation of touch inside of your mind, and that will be doing the manifesting for you. It's a form of meditation. There are lots of forms of meditation and prayer that involve holding something. People have palm stones and things like this. So this is a pretty well-known theory, I think, outside of specifically manifesting. You can use any of your senses. And ultimately, I think that's the moral of the story, and that's enough for this one video. When I've recorded this before, I think I branched off and I got a little distracted with going into multiple forms of manifestation and meditation and how the Audi and ADHD brain work, but it all kind of plays in there because I think a lot of the things I've just said are so general that they could apply to just anybody, and I just really wanted to get on the subject of mind's eye versus no mind's eye because it seems like a huge subject, but I think maybe people are making it bigger than it needs to be. Not only do you have all the other senses, you have consciousness, and your consciousness is not linked to one of your senses. A person who doesn't have physical sight is not going to be more likely to be a less conscious soul or to be more bitter or uncaring in life just because they don't have physical sight the way someone else might. So why in the world would you lose your spiritual connection? Or maybe you don't see yourself as a spiritual being. Why would you lose your manifesting capabilities, your focusing capabilities, your intention capabilities, because you don't have the mental aspect of sight or the mind's eye? I don't see where that makes any sense. And so if there's something more to this, I've already looked it up. And again, I'm listening to people who have the first-hand information, and that's how I'm delivering this to you, because I can't speak from the aphantasia brain from firsthand. So I'm bringing you the experiences I've heard other people talk about and the information I've looked up as far as how the mind works. I suppose I should say how the brain works. And it's just pretty simple because what I keep finding is that there's no huge difference, like I said, consciously or spiritually. It's just one sense out of the basic 5 senses, the basic classic ones. And the way I've just presented it, where we're talking about whether you can do it outside of your body physically or inside of your mind mentally, we split those 5 senses. So each one has 2 applications where you can look at an image or you can bring up an image, or you can listen to a sound, or you can remember a sound. So then you kind of have 10 senses, and if you have the aphantasia style brain and you can't visualize it inside of your head, if your eyes still work physically, you can still visualize by seeing things and bringing those images. So the way I've split it up, it's like you have 10 options and then you only have 1 removed, so you have 9 remaining. Oh, and one more point that I think I've been getting at, but I haven't said specifically, is that this stuff doesn't just have to be used for manifestation. If you simply want to meditate for the purposes of any other reason, calming yourself, opening up your mindset, opening up your heart, whatever it is, spiritual connection, you can use all of this for simply meditating. I mean, the goal acknowledges that you'll be manifesting anyway by doing it, but it'll be passive manifestation and it doesn't have to be your point. So if your point is meditation, you still have got all 5 senses to choose from to find what works. And like I said, I split them into 2 categories, internal version and external version. So now you have 10 things. So that's just kind of right off the top of my head when I thought about it and came up with this, and I think that's a pretty good answer. I think I should be done now for real, for real. And so if you've got any thoughts on this subject, leave them in the comments. like, share the video if you got use from it, if you think someone else will get use from it. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and I think that's about it. Bye now. I've got to admit, I'm freaking out recording this video because it has not been good and it has not been easy. And I'm finding myself just completely uneasy. But my thoughts on this are solid enough that I do intend to keep going. So I'm going to keep sipping, and I'm going to keep being a little bit hyper and uneasy, and I'm just going to go with it, because I know if I go with it, everything will turn out beautifully. And I'm not even just saying that in order to believe it. I really do have the sense that I need to make this video. So back to the theory.